The Lloydminster Airport will soon have a new look, as city administration unveiled a new logo and brand identity for the 39-year-old facility. The new branding was first designed in 2017, but never saw the light of day due to a lack of funding at that time. That changed when Prairie's Economic Development Canada granted the airport funding for signage, wayfinding, and website development for the airport. That means the city will not be on the hook for any of the costs.
Really excited to receive the grant money from the federal government for that purpose, and to enhance our airport from that perspective of the marketability. And when people drive in, they'll go, wow, that wow factor is very, very important.
The photos that were presented this week are still concept images, and the next step for council will be to approve a tender for the physical signage at a future council meeting. There was also discussion of including signs with the new branding along 44th Street. Mayor Gerald Albers says he's excited for residents and visitors to see the airport's new look.
Any other major airport, there's significant signage and you know where you're at. One of the challenges is that hasn't been as prevalent at the City of Lloydminster, and that will change with this grant.
The City of Lloydminster has been the owner of the airport since 1995. With Christmas just over a month away, schools have started preparing for the holidays. And in this week's Beyond the Classroom, we take a look at the Lloydminster Catholic School Division's Christmas Drive-In Concert. Last year, due to COVID-19, LCSD decided to change their approach from the usual in-person Christmas concert to a drive-in movie-style event. They filmed at schools across the division and edited it all together. This year, they're doing a drive-in concert once again.
This truly is joy for staff and students to put this together for their families. I think we've heard a lot over the last year from families that a concert didn't always work for them. If you worked late to try to get into a concert, getting seats where you could sit together was really hard. And now they can come in a vehicle with their family, have their supper right in there. It's been a way where families can actually celebrate Christmas together. There's been a little bit of a COVID win for us.
The Christmas concerts take place at the Lloydminster Exhibition's parking lot from December 6th to 10th. They are currently in the process of filming students across the division, and the concert isn't just restricted to singing.
Filming takes a good solid week with a few additional days here and there, where we go to each school and we capture some of the creative things that students are doing to celebrate Christmas. So they do skits and poems and songs and find a bunch of creative ways to still do that while spaced out and showcasing each child's talent.
LCSD will be sending out emails to parents about booking their parking spots in the December newsletter. The link to the concert will also be available for those who can't make it, and even though it might be chilly outside, Carrie is looking forward to the drive-in.
A big part of me is super excited because it was so nice to see so many families roll in, honk their horns, yell Merry Christmas to each other, and really find a way to connect when COVID has created so many roadblocks for us.
And that's it for this week's Beyond the Classroom.
At Lakeland College, our students are challenged to go beyond the classroom, so when industry knocks, they're ready to thrive. Learn more at lakelandcollege.ca.
Saskatchewan's youngest drivers are teaming up with SGI to focus on traffic safety to spread more awareness. Our Shelby Clark has more.
Joining us today for Primetime Local News is Heather Anderson with SGI, and she is here to speak about SGI teaming up with youth in Saskatchewan to talk safe driving. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Shelby, for having me today.
Of course, no problem, Heather. Thank you for being able to give us your time. Now, would we be able to start off with you talking about what this is all about that SGI is teaming up with youth in Saskatchewan for?
You bet. So SGI is distributing team driver resource kits to local high school students and youth groups. And this is really an opportunity for us to provide some educational information to teens and also get them involved as well. So these kits provide them the opportunity to implement peer-to-peer traffic safety initiatives and also start the conversation with their friends and family about how they can drive more safely.
Now, for the kits, would you be able to describe what exactly is all involved in these?
For sure. So these provide information on how to apply for community grants. They also host traffic-related events and how teens can do that themselves. There's teen driver safety posters that are supplied by SGI in these kits. There's QR codes that are also supplied by SGI, and those link to information about traffic safety, and they can be handed out to friends or put on windshields. And also there's a long list of ideas in this USB stick that encourages traffic safety. So it includes messages such as how to host a teen driving safety day, how to use traffic safety messaging effectively with their teens, how to put out social media posts about traffic safety, or, putting together a traffic safety video for maybe a high school presentation, or bringing somebody in to talk about teen driver safety. So it provides a list of ideas for teens to get involved and kind of take this into their own hands to make sure that they propel their friends and their family to drive safely.
And how did the idea really start up for SGI wanting to team up with youth in Saskatchewan to be able to do this for, students and whatnot?
Yeah, well, what we know is that youth play a critical role in influencing positive behaviors among their peers. And so we wanted to equip teens with the knowledge that they need and the tools they need in order to take that into their own hands and start to think about traffic safety in a different way. So as we know, when you get that license for the very first time, it's very exciting. You're excited to get behind the wheel, but it's a huge responsibility. And so it's important for teens to start thinking about this early and start putting those measures into place early so that they have those good driving habits throughout their entire life and every time they get behind the wheel.
What specifically are the areas that you're planning to focus on for this?
Yeah, so the focus on this will mostly be on distracted driving, speeding, and impaired driving. And those are some of the areas that we want to see improve. About 6.4% of drivers in Saskatchewan are 19 years or younger. And in 2020 in Saskatchewan, they were involved in more than 2,700 collisions, resulting in 611 injuries and 15 deaths. Now, obviously, those numbers we want to see improve. So talking to young drivers really is an important area of focus. And we're hoping that by providing this information to them now, we can see some improvements in those numbers.
Now, does SGI plan to do this annually with youth in Saskatchewan if this goes all well this year and there's lots of strong support and good response?
Absolutely. So we do team up with Parachute Canada, which is a safety organization to focus on teen driver safety. And that's something we've been doing for a number of years. They have Teen Driver Safety Week, which is something we focus on. And we've also partnered with them on this in order to get some of the information out to teens. And so it's a messaging that will continue, but it is something we're trying in a little bit of a different format with these teen driver resource kits that we're sending out to high schools. So this may be the first year for it, but it's certainly, is something we're going to continue to look at and evaluate how it does this year and how responsive teens are to it so that we can continue to encourage them and share this message in the future.
For people that may not be aware or don't really know much about these kits, where can they go online to find more information and may be able to even have a kit for themselves?
Yes, for sure. So what we do is encourage you to go to our website, sgi.sk.ca. You'll find the information that you're looking for there. Under the news releases, we've got the traffic safety department, which is the ones who are, the traffic outreach department, which are the ones who are putting on this initiative. You can go to our website and find that information. You can also contact us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We're very active on those platforms. We'd love to hear from you. And if you're, a part of a high school who's maybe interested in getting this type of kit for their school or for their teens, send us a message and we'll be happy to put you in touch with the right people and make sure you get the information in your hands as well.
Perfect. Well, once again, thank you so much for joining us today, Heather.
It was my pleasure. Thank you.
Now Shelby Clark will take a first look at today's forecast. Thanks so much, Jazz. And now taking a first look at your weather forecast for here in the border city. We are seeing a lot more sun today compared to what we were seeing yesterday. So hopefully people are enjoying, even though it is still there's lots of snow outside on the ground. Hopefully you're enjoying that nice sun. But right now we are sitting at -11 right now with a mixture of some sun and cloud, but we are seeing a little bit more sun peeking behind those clouds. And switching over to temperatures across the region for Alberta and Saskatchewan here, a little bit chillier on this side for the Alberta side. Most are sitting at that -8, -9 mark there. St. Paul is at -7, while Cold Lake is a bit cooler at -11. Edmonton is sitting at -5, and down in Provost they're at -7 as well there. Switching over to the Saskatchewan side here, they are seeing around the same as what we are seeing on the Alberta side. Some are even a little bit cooler here. -7 for Isla Crosse, -8 degrees in Green Lake and Meadow Lake. Pierceland is sitting at -9 as well as down in North Battleford. -7 as well in Macklin, while Maidstone and St. Walburg a little bit cooler, sitting at -10 and -12 there. But for North Battleford overnight tonight, they will be going down to a low of -21, so they are reaching those -20s now as we are heading more into the winter season. So it's going to be a lot chillier for over in North Battleford, and tomorrow they will warm up just a bit there to -6 throughout the day, and they will be seeing just a little bit more cloudier skies. Switching over to Cold Lake overnight, they'll be going down to a low of -14, so not as cool as North Battleford, but they will be cooling down quite a bit. Overnight, they will be seeing a lot more cloudier skies as well, and tomorrow they will be warming up to -3, so they will be seeing a nicer day, and it will be just a little bit cloudy as well. And switching over to here in the border city, we'll be cooling down to -17 throughout the night, so if you will be outside at all, just try to bundle up and get some more layers on, because it will be a lot chillier. We will be seeing a couple clouds in sight, and tomorrow we will be seeing a warmer day to -4, and hopefully we will be seeing a little bit more sun rather than cloudy skies. And now taking a look at some photo submissions here. Here's one here that we got from Tracy. What a beautiful photo. Good to see a nice sunset there. I love getting some sunset photos. It really shows those beautiful colors in the skies there. So thank you so much for being able to submit a photo online. And for anybody else that wants to submit more photos, you can go to our Facebook page and comment a nice photo, and it will be on our show later on. That's all I have for now. We'll have more news coming up after the break. The Lloydminster Inland Steel Bobcats are coming off a weekend where the team picked up 3 out of 4 points. They'll look to continue that success this upcoming weekend, but not on the ice. Friday night, the team will host a pub night with a barrel of fun draw, a chance to meet the players, and a silent auction. Silent auction bidding is open on the team's Facebook page and will be open online until Thursday night at 6 p.m. Some of the players will be up for sale: to coach a kids hockey team for 5 hours, 5 hours of snow shoveling, 5 hours of labor, and even a full house clean. Contact any Bobcat parent if you can attend. The CFL is heading into their final week of the regular season. Evan Kenny and Jace Mackey have more with playoffs fast approaching.
Week 15 of the CFL's regular season is in the books, and with just 1 week remaining, the 6 teams who will be in the playoffs are set. Now, what isn't set is where the Eastern semifinals will take place. Jace Mackey is joining us now. Now, Jace, just take us through, this final week. I guess just what could happen in this final week of the CFL's regular season.
Yeah, a lot of things are set in stone. The only thing really when it comes to these playoffs is where that East semifinal is going to take place. So is it going to be in Hamilton at Tim Hortons Field or in Montreal at Provincial Molson Stadium? The road to hosting that game is a lot easier for Hamilton. They either need to win or to have Montreal lose, and they host that semifinal. For Montreal, they would need to win and have Hamilton lose in the final week of the season for them to host that playoff game in Montreal. So it's all down to the wire here, and I think that's the biggest storyline heading into the final week of the season.
So, Jace, we do know it is those 2 teams who will be playing in the Eastern semifinals. Now, you've seen each of these teams play live, at different points throughout the season. They might not be the exact same teams as what you saw, but who do you like in this matchup?
Yeah, that's true. When I watched Montreal, they came to Commonwealth Stadium at the beginning of the year. So that team is a lot different. They had Vernon Adams Jr. in quarterback. Now Montreal has Trevor Harris as their starting quarterback. And I think last time we talked CFL, I was saying that Montreal was my team to watch in the East, a team I liked a lot. And things have changed since then when it comes to their quarterback situation. And Vernon Adams Jr. is a quarterback that likes to move around a lot. Trevor Harris is more of a pocket passer. But we saw at their last game that they had last week that they did really well. And Trevor Harris did a good job of running that offense. That was, however, against a Winnipeg team that was benched most of their starters. So it's tough to see exactly how that team is going to stack up against a team that's really playing for everything. When it comes to Hamilton, they've really kind of set Jeremiah Mazzoli as their starting quarterback. He is the guy who's going to take them into the playoffs. And when he played in Edmonton, he had probably one of the best games of his career this season, at least. But the last game that they played last week against Toronto, that was really a game for who was going to win the East. It was probably as close as you get to a playoff feel in the regular season. And Mazzoli did not really have the game that he would have liked. He threw no touchdowns and 2 interceptions. So when I look at those 2 matchups, I think it's going to be even, but I do like the Montreal Alouettes over the Hamilton Tiger Cats. But the one thing I will say about the Tiger Cats is Hamilton's hosting the Grey Cup this year, so there is going to be that extra motivation to win those games because they want to be playing in front of their hometown fans at Tim Hortons Field.
Okay, Jay, so we now know about the East. Let's move over to the West, where things are now set in stone. You know, after back-to-back close victories over the Edmonton Elks, the Saskatchewan Roughriders have secured home field advantage for the West semifinals, where they will take on the Calgary Stampeders, who are making the postseason for their 16th time in a row. Who do you like in this game?
This game is going to be really fun and really interesting, and I think these teams are paired up really well with each other. Now, you mentioned that Saskatchewan has won a lot of close games down the stretch. I know that Duke Williams has had himself some clutch catches on short kicks, being able to keep possession of that ball and help Saskatchewan hold on to win some games down the stretch. And their last game against Edmonton was a real standout game for Duke Williams. He had a lot of yards, over 100 yards in that game, and really that was his welcome to Saskatchewan moment this year. I think Saskatchewan playing at home at Mosaic Stadium is going to make a difference. It's really hard to play in that stadium with those fans, and you know it's going to be a sellout for that playoff game, the West semifinal. Looking at Calgary, though, they're a team that started off the season not looking like themselves. They're making their 16th consecutive playoff appearance, but I think a lot of people weren't sure if they were going to make the playoffs starting the season, but they are really starting to gel, and Bo Levi Mitchell's is starting to return to form. He had over 200 yards in his last game, 3 touchdowns, and Reggie Begelton for the Calgary Stampeders was making his debut this season, and he had over 100 yards receiving in that game. So it's going to be interesting to see the battle of those 2 kind of newcomer receivers late in the year, Reggie Begelton and Duke Williams, and maybe to see who has themselves a game in this West semifinal. I am going to be going with Saskatchewan. I think Saskatchewan is a hard team to play in. And down the stretch, I know we are looking at the season series. Calgary did win that season series. However, I think the teams, like we mentioned in the East, do look different than they did earlier in this season.
Well, Jace, thank you very much for joining me in doing this. 5 games this week wrap up the regular season ahead of the semifinals Sunday, November 28th.
Now Shelby Clark will take another look at your forecast. Thanks so much, Jazz. And now taking another look at your weather forecast. We'll be starting off with taking a look at temperatures around the central region of Alberta and Saskatchewan here. On the Alberta side, -7 for Edson and in Jasper there. Whitecourt and Athabasca are a bit cooler at -8 and -9 degrees. Edmonton is right in the middle at -5, while Rocky Mountain House and Red Deer a little bit warmer at -4 and -2 degrees. And as we switch over to the Saskatchewan side here, they are seeing some cooler temperatures with Cold Lake at -10 there, -8 in Meadow Lake, while Prince Albert and Melfort at -6, and Saskatoon is sitting at -7. And as we switch over to our northern region of the provinces, they are seeing some slightly cooler temperatures for most spots. Uranium City and Stony Rapids are at that double-digit point with a -11 and -14 even in Stony Rapids. Now as we move down more, it'll be -9 in Wollaston Lake, -6 in South End, while Flin Flon is at -5, -7 in La Ronge, and the rest are sitting at -8. Switching over to this end here, they're seeing slightly cooler temps. We're seeing around the same as what we are seeing in the central region. -5 in Grand Prairie, while Slave Lake is at -6, -4 in Peace River, while the rest are sitting at -9. And as we switch over to our southern region, as you can see, they usually are seeing, usually throughout the week, they've been seeing some warmer temperatures, but now they are cooling down quite a bit, while Lethbridge is at that 0 mark, Medicine Hat and Calgary at -1. So they have reached those minus temperatures now. Coronation is at -9 and Banff is at -7. Switching over to this side here, Kindersley and Swift Current Current have reached those double-digit temps as well, with -10, -7 in Moose Jaw and Regina, while the rest are sitting at -5 and -6. But as we go back across the region, the temperatures overnight tonight, we are cooling down quite a bit. We are seeing those double-digit temperatures throughout the night compared to what we've been seeing last week. Paradise Hill and Meadow Lake have even reached -20 there. Unity is a bit cooler at -21, so some spots are even reaching those -20 lows for their evening chills. My La Crosse will be seeing a low of -13, while Pearson will be seeing a low of -16, and -15 for Murnum and Wainwright, and Bonnyville and Provost will be seeing a low of -14. So it will be chilly in a lot more spots across the region for our overnight lows right now, while Meadow Lake will be a lot cooler, and Pearson will be seeing a lot more cloudier skies, and Unity will be just seeing a couple clouds in sight. And as we switch over to overnight temps to temperatures tomorrow across the region, we will be warming up just a bit compared to seeing what we're seeing for our evening lows. We will be seeing ranging from around -2 to -4 there in most spots. Macklin and Edmonton will be hitting that 0 mark, but we will be seeing a little bit more sun tomorrow, and St. Walburg and North Battleford will be seeing a little bit cooler with -5 and -6. And ending off with our 7-day forecast for here in the border city. Thursday, we will be warming up, as I was saying, with -4, but we will be seeing a little bit more cloudier skies. Friday, we'll be starting off this weekend a little bit warmer with -3, and we will be seeing a little bit more sun peeking behind those clouds. So hopefully that sun will feel nice and warm up the day, help melt some of that snow out there. And Saturday and Sunday, we will be seeing -2 on Saturday. Unfortunately, we will be seeing around a 80% chance of some flurries. Sunday, we'll be ending off with -10, and we'll be starting off a bit cooler next week with -1 on Monday, and we'll be seeing -8 and -10 on Tuesday and Wednesday. That's another look at your weather forecast. We'll have more news coming up after the break.
Stephanie Dobson is back with us this week for another segment of Healthy Thriving Family After Divorce. And Stephanie, we recently touched on the subject of gray divorce, but for those who may not have seen that episode, can you please explain again what is gray divorce?
Sure. You know, there's so many aspects to it that I thought we'd do a part 2. I have so many more things to say about how to help people prepare for such a thing. So basically, gray divorce is what we call divorcing later in life. So it's often after the age of 50, but of course it can be even later than that, 50, 60, and even later. So it's really defined by people who have children who are either almost out of the home or those who have already left. You know, there's so many statistics out there that says that the rate of divorce in this segment of the population is increasing at such an alarming rate that it's really worth having this conversation, even as a part 2 of this conversation, because it's really important that we try to find positive outcomes, not only for the separating couple, but also for their adult children. And often even there's grandchildren involved who are also very much affected by the split.
So if you're going through this procedure, as an older person as compared to somebody in their younger years, what are some of the things you need to consider, Stephanie?
Sure. And I can imagine some people when they say divorcing after the age of 50, that's not gray divorce, that's not old. The point here is that at this stage, it's just some very different considerations. So if you're before that age, usually you have children in the home, you're trying to figure out, you know, how do I maintain a relationship with my co-parent, my former spouse, because we have to raise children together still. How do we divide our property so that we can start over and start rebuilding that net worth? So by comparison, people, when they're separating later in life, often their priorities are changed. So often they already have children who are out of the house, maybe even in post-secondary education or done their post-secondary education. And most couples at this point are starting to think about retirement, maybe not in the super near future, but they're starting to think more in that line rather than in building their career. So here's a few things that you may want to consider. It's of course not an exhaustive list. So first, estate planning. So when we look, we want to look at how couples will use their accumulated wealth and possibly even pass that on to their children. So sometimes we do some estate planning. Now, I don't mean to create a sense of morbidity right at the age of 50, 60, but it's the point is that when you're divorcing later in life, you want to ensure that you do have somewhat of a focus on estate planning. So secondly, in that same vein is retirement planning. So these couples will, instead of looking at how they're going to ramp up their career, they're looking at how they're going to be able to retire within a certain amount of time. So that might mean arriving at a settlement plan requires talking with a financial advisor to figure out how the financial sustainability of your proposed settlement might lead you into your future. And lastly, insurance plans. Of course, as the years progress and as you get older, insurance becomes harder and harder to obtain and, of course, more expensive. So there may be insurance plans that you purchased way back when, in your early 20s or 30s even, and you want to make sure that those are preserved and that their future is planned for. Because once, of course, you lose the insurance plans, it's often very hard to get again.
What are some of the things that should be considered if you have adult children and you're going through the separation or divorce at a later age?
So as we've mentioned already, a lot of times these couples have children who are over the age of 18, and they may either be on their own or on their way to being on their own. So a lot of times I have parents who say that they want to wait until after their children have left home before they separate. So I want to just give our audience just another perspective. When all kids have known is a one household family, and then subsequent to their departure, age 18, 20, they see their parents moving into two homes because of a separation or divorce. Often kids have a great sense of loss because that's their childhood home, right? That's their home base, and that's all they've known is one home. And so that familiarity can be ripped from them so quickly. So what's important to do here is, every adult child is going to go through this differently when their parents are separating, but it's really important. As I always say, communication is really important. So it's important to have that open dialogue with your adult children so that they feel supported. Many parents, they think that by waiting until the kids are out of the home that it won't affect them. It's not true. It's just a different way that it's affect them. They just don't have to be raised between two homes.
Stephanie, well, thank you so much for this. It's great information, and there's so much to consider with this. And I know we talked about the trend of how there's an upward trend, so this is not going away anytime soon. So if people are looking for more information or are going through this, what's the best way to reach out and get that information from you, Stephanie?
Sure. On our website, we have tons of information. We've just done a whole revamp of our website. Check it out at Henka Divorce, HENKA, divorce.ca, or you can always call our office 780-875-2234.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Stephanie. Once again, it's always a pleasure speaking with you, and we'll chat with you again next week.
Yeah, thanks so much, Stacey.
Today on Primetime Local News, I'm sitting down with Michelle Duchek from the Lloydminster Public Library as its staff are preparing to transition to a new location in the Lloyd Mall. Before I get too far ahead of myself, though, the library is indeed still open at the Atrium Center. So, Michelle, could you just kind of detail the library's plans for the next 2 months here?
Well, we're going to remain open to the public until the 3rd of December will be the last day, hopefully, that we remain open in Atrium Center. We will then shut our doors and open again to the public in January at the Lloyd Mall location. During that time, you still will be able to access the electronic resources, as you've been able to do really through most of this process. And aside from a few days when they have to switch the phones over, you should be able to reach us by phone Monday to Friday, 10 to 6.
Then the new library location is set to include a number of new features, so I was just wondering if you could tell people a little bit about them, and maybe if you have a favorite thing that you're most excited about.
I think one of the things I am most excited is to actually meet the public in a new space. We have new shelving, we've got new offices, some of us have new computers, new phone system, which we're in the process of learning. So we just want to be up, above ground is one of the things we always like to say, and in a place where we're more accessible to everybody in Lloydminster. in terms of being a bit more in a more visible location, also with more parking, and also with access. You become one stop, go grocery shopping, visit the library, get your, well, when the rest of the mall opens up, various things you can go to, and you just include us in your mall visit, which is going to be great.
And as you mentioned, with the library's upcoming closure, you're encouraging people to go online where they can access some virtual features. But for people who might already have a book signed out upon the library's closure, you're just telling them to hang on to the book until the new library opens, right?
Yes, we when we are closed to the public, we do ask people to hold on to them. However, if you are determined to return your books, you can, in the old location, as long as the external book drop is still open, you can return stuff there, or you can come downstairs in the atrium and drop them in the slot while we're still there. But we will be extending due dates for anything that was supposed to be due in December. We will extend them until January, so that we can hold on to them. And please don't bring them back the first day we open either, because we'd rather not have to, we're gonna have enough to deal with. We'd rather not deal with a whole pile of returns as well. One of the things we're really looking forward to is, as part of our first move, we had already moved part of our collection. And then with the mall flooding, we lost access. So the nonfiction, the mysteries, the science fiction, and the hardcover fiction have been waiting for us in the new location. We were so excited we'll be able to get back to providing those materials to the public.
Thanks so much for your time, Michelle.
No problem.
Thank you for joining us on Primetime Local News, and have a great night.